Hard to believe, but we're at the midpoint of the high school football season, and we're at the midpoint of our first installment of a series that we hope that can continue for years to come. Words with Walter, with none other than NFL Hall of Famer Walter Jones. We've had a blast discussing a myriad of topics for our student athletes and families across the valley as well. Walter, our topic for this evening, leadership. And we know that young people, much like professional athletes, you start making your way to the midpoint of the year, nicks and bruises happen, mental capacities maybe are dwindling a little bit. For you as an unquestioned leader, no matter where you've been in all levels of football, how important is it for young people to stay together even more as they're trying to fight through the grind to kind of get to the back end of the regular season?
You have to lean on some of your leaders on the team, more your juniors and seniors, because those guys been in the program. And that goes at every level. You got to have those guys that's gonna pull some of those guys along. Those guys, and you can kind of find those guys in the summer camps. And once the season started, those guys, they have a knack for knowing how to pull the team together to let them know, hey, it's going to get better. This is the fourth quarter now. This is when we really need you. So you need those guys. And a lot of times coaches put those guys together like your captain. Those are the guys that host the team, that kind of relay what the coach will lead. A lot of time these kids want to talk to the guys that's on the field a lot, because when you're on the field, those are the guys you got to trust. So if you get those leaders to push you and get you through those hump days, those days where you don't want to be out there, like you say, your body is sore. So for me, I feel like you have to lean on those captains to push these guys along and understand how important the season and what the goals are. You don't have to go out here on media and say everything, but if you got a guy that's pushing it, understand, hey, this is going to get us to the next level. This is going to help us in the playoffs. So if you got those guys promoting that and helping the younger guys to come along, because those guys are watching those older guys to see this is what you need to be when you become a junior or senior in high school.
Walter, in your past experiences in respective high school, collegiate, and pro locker rooms, how important was it for your organization, as far as your coaching staff, to kind of have maybe more of a hands-off approach when it comes to a leadership evaluation, and more importantly, players kind of controlling the locker room for the betterment of the program? Walk us through just some of the better locker rooms you've been with and how player-oriented they were.
I played in Seattle, and I think we had, I think a lot of that. And I think a lot of you learn if you look at the good schools or the good teams, you always see that the O-linemen are always together. They always seem that they almost like that protected armor. So for me personally, I judge it by what do the O-linemen do? Do they hang out together? Do they do this? Because I think those are the guys that bring everybody else together, because that is the only unit where everybody got to be working on the same page. A running back can run off on his own, a defensive end can go where he wants to, but as an offensive lineman, if I go the wrong way, I could get somebody hurt. So everybody got to be working together. So for that standpoint, I feel like those are the things that you want to do. And a coach, I think a coach, as the season go along, you find those guys and you see those guys and you're like, okay, I don't have to yell at these guys today, because I know that A and B going to get in those guys in the locker room. Hey guys, we can't have this practice like this ever again. And sometimes that's what you need. And the great coaches let those leaders speak to the team if the practice is kind of moving around slow, or guys just didn't perform today. So yes, a lot of coaches want those guys to take over, because those are the guys got to be on the field and fighting and stuff like that. So you want those guys to be there doing that.
Leave it with this one. I've always been intrigued with when you talk about locker rooms and being in player-oriented locker rooms and organizations. Do you think it's possible? Have you ever been around, whether it's freshmen and sophomores, becoming leaders that kind of stood out and maybe let their talking happen on the field, or vocal enough that both of them were married together? Walk us through, whether it was in high school, whether it was in Tallahassee at Florida State, or a rookie or a second-year guy that may have maybe had an impact and became a leader. Do you believe that's even possible?
Oh, totally. I can relate to that. I think that in the 05 run, when we went to the Super Bowl, we had two rookies linebacker, Lofa Tatupa and Leroy Hill, and they were just rookies, and they came out there, they understood. And, we had a pretty veteran team, but these guys really took control of the defense, and like by mid-season, you know, you saw that these two kids are taking over and understanding. So for me, I think for being a leader, you have different types of leader. I'm not a vocal leader. I'm more of I show you on the field. I show you how I prepare. That's how I lead. That's how I watch. I'm more of a watcher than I'm gonna get up and speak to the team. But you have those guys. But from my standpoint, yes, I feel like a young guy could come in if he understand the game, understand how to get it done. I'm totally there to listen to a guy, because I feel like we all been in that battle. So if a guy that's a young guy that's 5 years younger than me could come in here and lead me and get me in the right position, I'm willing to listen and watch.
That's such a great conversation, amazing conversation about leadership. Listen, whether you all believe it or not, leadership is needed in life. You gotta have it. Walter Jones here for another Words with Walter here during the high school football season. We will be here as we head toward the tail end of the regular season, getting closer to the playoffs, but more importantly, continuing to have honest, amazing conversations for our community, our student athletes, and our parents here in the Valley.